guys? I may look a little different today. I just threw on some concealer. That's about it. Didn't put on any mascara or lashes because I don't know what's gonna happen in this video. I'm either gonna be super detached or bawling my eyes out. Hopefully it's not number 2. Hopefully it's not number 1 either. I don't really know like where to start out this video. I don't even know. I've been crying all day. Like, I feel like I'm about to cry already. It's pregnancy hormones, man. I'm over it. Okay. Well, let's just start from the beginning. As you probably just found out, I am pregnant. I have a little bump going on. I'll show you guys here in a little bit. Where do I start? Okay. I'm pregnant. I had this whole plan of like how I was gonna announce it, and like tell you guys, and that's probably a reason as to why you guys didn't see me a lot on YouTube. I'm pretty far along. I'm already almost 30 weeks, so been hiding it, I guess you could say. Not really. I just kind of wanted to like embrace it in the moment and not have to deal with like negativity. There was just a lot that was going on. I had like 3 previous miscarriages and I just didn't need like the negativity surrounding it, and I didn't really want it like affecting me or the baby and just like our mental headspace, I guess, my mental headspace. And I just kind of wanted to like, I don't know, like feel it without outside influences or outside opinions. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to like, there's a word I'm looking for and I can't even think of it, but like I just wanted to like feel those feelings and just kind of like, it's not settle's not the right word, but like marinate kind of like in that moment, in that bliss, and just kind of like have that moment with my partner, because I feel like I haven't ever done that, like just like not share my business with the entire world. So yeah, I wasn't expecting to wait this long, but there was just a lot that has come up and a lot of unexpected things, I guess, that I didn't think were gonna happen. And also I was dealing with like my losses and miscarriages, and I just wasn't ready to share like that whole story either. But essentially that's what happened. So I don't know, I think in the moment the miscarriages, like hindsight is 2020, right? Like looking back, of course it was like, obviously I felt something, but I think I was more detached, and now I don't know, I was just trying to cope with it, deal with it, and I didn't know how to like talk about it because I felt like it was so early on that it didn't matter, but like it does matter. Anyways, I feel like a lot of women go through that with like miscarriages and losses. Like you just don't know like how to deal with it, especially when it's an early miscarriage and you're just like, oh, there's people out here like losing their babies. And I was really struggling with that, I think, in the moment, but like obviously looking at it now, it's like, no, like I had to grieve that baby, that pregnancy, that loss. I'm gonna cry. What is wrong with me? Whew. Okay, so anyways, besides the miscarriages, whatever, yeah, I just wanted to kind of like marinate. I cannot figure out this word. I'm trying so hard to think of, but I just kind of wanted to like feel that moment and just kind of like, oh my god, it's gonna bother me so much if I think about this while editing. I'll probably put it on the screen, but yeah, I just wanted to feel it and like embrace it and not have to worry about anything else besides just protecting like my little baby and living my life and like enjoying it. Anyways, so yeah, that was the goal. The goal really wasn't to like wait this long, but it just kind of happened. I was gonna, I guess, announce probably around like 16, 18 weeks, something like that. I don't know. I didn't really have a plan. But I'll just start from like the first trimester, I guess. So first trimester, you guys already know, my pregnancies are normally pretty rough. For some reason, I'm just super sick all the time, and that happened this time. I was really, really sick, throwing up a lot, no energy, literally so tired, couldn't even get out of bed most days. Had to have like a trash can by my bed and just like puke in that sucker all day long. So that's kind of how my first trimester went. Yeah, I was really, really sick. Also, yeah, that's just how that went. But I've learned to like cope with it, I think. Like, I've learned to deal with it. I know how to like kind of make it better, make it less. Like, if I eat first thing in the morning, it's usually better throughout the day, but at night it just gets awful. Totally awful. I think I'm throwing up. Not as bad as Lacey. With Lacey, I was throwing up like 30 times a day. I was definitely throwing up like 5 times a day. Not super bad, right? So, yeah, that's how my first trimester went. It was pretty normal, I guess. Second trimester came along. I don't know. I just have so many fears this time around, just because, not fears, I guess, I just have so many questions. Like, I don't know what to expect this time. Like, right? I'm like with a new partner. It's like just new everything, right? New city, new hospital, new doctors. I'm just not used to it. And I think I had so much anxiety, like just surrounding like, where am I going to deliver? I have to research all of this because I'm thinking back to like my other pregnancies, right? Like, I was 16 when I got pregnant with Lacey. So my mom kind of just figured that stuff out for me. Like, she found my doctor, which ultimately was the hospital I was delivering at. Actually, I could pick, but I toured the hospitals and I was like, oh yeah, this one. But like, ultimately my mom kind of just like did that for me because I was 16, I was a baby. And that had been my doctor for Wolf and Forest as well. And I love her. I'm so sad that she's not my doctor anymore. And that I'm not delivering at the hospital, because I loved the hospital I delivered at. Anyways, so that was very scary, coming here and like having to figure all that out, finding out who am I gonna deliver. But firstly, I wanted to figure out like the hospital I wanted to deliver at based off of the doctor that I wanted to deliver with or see, because technically they might not deliver you, you know? And so I had so much anxiety surrounding that because I don't know. And then it's just like a new partner, it's just like new genetics, new, like, what is my baby gonna look like? Like, I just had so many questions, and like, it's just overwhelming. And it literally just made me feel like I was 16 again and just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So, yeah, I had to like deal with all that anxiety, which I did. I found a doctor, found the hospital I wanted to deliver at, and you know, everything was fine and dandy. Second trimester was definitely way easier, for sure. I feel like I look so naked, but like, I didn't want to put mascara on because I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, found a doctor, went to my first visit, everything was fine. Scheduled my ultrasound for like a couple weeks later because they're really, really, really booked up here. So did that. Went to my first ultrasound, and this is kind of where like things were like, I don't know. My first ultrasound, I wasn't really worried, but like, you know, you're always worried going into that first ultrasound. Like, you know, like, well, technically it was my second ultrasound. The first one was just to make sure, like, it just confirmed my pregnancy, right? Which was when I was like 8 weeks, and then I didn't actually have my ultrasound until 20 weeks. Yeah. So we had my ultrasound, and you're always worried, you know, as a mom. You're like, oh, like, I hope my baby's growing okay. Like, I hope like has everything it needs, blah, blah, blah. And we have our first ultrasound, and you know, the ultrasound text. They can't tell you anything. They can't say anything. But essentially, she did kind of a little bit. And she was like staying on the heart for like a minute. And I was like, something's up. Like, why? Like, I've had 3 other kids, you know, like, why is she on this heart so long? Like, all right. And so essentially at the end, she was like, we're gonna need you to come back for another ultrasound, which is, I'll put the name on the screen. Honestly, so many new terms. I think it was I don't know, cardio echogram or something like that. When she went to look at, she's like, what's your due date? And I was like, May 2nd, because that's what like we thought it was, or May 3rd, something like that. And she's like, okay. And then like she's like doing the ultrasound, but then she toggles back and forth between like the measurements and like the baby, right? She's like toggling back and forth, and I catch that it says like May like 14th instead of like May 3rd, which is obviously a huge like 2-week difference. I'm like, what? Like I caught that. And so then she finishes the ultrasound and she's like, okay, well, you guys need to come back because I couldn't find everything that I needed to find. That's happened to me before, I think with Lacey, I think. And so I was like, okay. Like, I wasn't really worried about it. They didn't really tell me that anything was really wrong. They just basically said that like they couldn't find everything. But I kind of knew something was like off, right? And I'm like, I peeped that, right? And I'm like, I told my boyfriend that. I'm like, I feel like something's off, but they're just like not telling me. So whatever, we go home. We found out the gender. We go home. We have our gender reveal. We come back. We have our ultrasound a little bit after that. I think it was 2 weeks after that, maybe. We go back and it's a different person, but they're like a specialist, I think. And I noticed like with the first one, I mentioned like to my boyfriend, like I normally can see like the 4 chambers and I'm not necessarily seeing like the 4 chambers. Like I was just really confused. And so like when we're back at this new ultrasound, they're like doing the 4 chambers again and doing that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm missing this whole part about after our first ultrasound, we had a doctor's appointment. So we went to the ultrasound, then we went to the doctor's appointment, and the doctor was like, oh, like your baby has toes, like it's fine, like it's okay. They told me my son didn't have fingers at first, and then he was born with fingers. Like ultrasounds are just really hard to see everything. And I'm like, yeah. So anyways, I'm like, our baby has toes, and the ultrasound's like laughing, and like everyone's laughing, right? Like, yay, the baby has toes. Everyone's like laughing. They're like, oh, has toes, yay. And so then after the ultrasound, the lady like brings us back to like this room, right? And literally the worst thing ever. Oh my god. So they bring us back to this room and it's just chairs with a fucking tissue box. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I told my boyfriend, I was like, something's wrong. Like, they're coming in here to tell us some type of news. I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was something. Like, why would they bring us back into this room with just a fucking tissue box? And so I feel like this video is like so, I hope you guys are interested. I don't even know. I feel like I'm all over the place and so scrambled. But anyways, so the lady comes back. She finally brings us back here, and we can like hear the doctor speaking to another person in the next room. Anyways, the ultrasound tech comes back. She's like, your doctor only wanted us to do the ultrasound here. She wants you guys to go over to her office and talk to her because we had an appointment later that day. And we're like, okay, so like we're not getting bad news immediately. They're just having our doctor tell us. So then we go over to our doctor's office, and basically she tells us like that the baby isn't like growing at the rate that it should, essentially. She tells us that the baby is IUGR. Sorry, I keep wanting to say he or she because we already know the gender, but I think I'm gonna do a separate video telling you guys. So the baby has IUGR, which is intrauterine growth restriction. I'm pretty sure it just means that like there's a curve of like where your baby should be growing. If you're a parent, you probably know the curve. They always say like, oh, your baby's in the 30th percentile or the 20th percentile, whatever it is, 90th. So essentially they told us that, okay, so the last time that they measured the baby at 20 weeks, it was in the fifth percentile, which is like really, really low. Anything under 10 is IUGR. Yeah, and the baby was measuring at 5%. This next ultrasound, the baby was in between like the 5th and 6th percentile. And we saw a different doctor this time. It wasn't the one that I'd like been regularly seeing. And basically she seemed super like unfazed. Like we're like asking questions like, okay, well, is there anything that we can do? She's like, no, not really. They said the blood flow looks fine from the placenta to the baby. The blood flow is looking fine. But if something did happen with that, then they would be a little bit more concerned. But that looked fine. That the baby passed all of like, it got a perfect score for everything that it should be doing at that age. So they measure on like a scale of like 8, and the baby passed all of them, like got 8 out of 8. And she just didn't really seem super concerned. Now my blood pressure has been high, a little high, not like super high, this pregnancy, and so they are like monitoring that, and if it goes up again, they're gonna consider me pre-hypertension or something due to like preeclampsia. And yeah, that's essentially what that doctor told me, but she's not actually like the doctor I see regularly. And essentially she wasn't super worried. We asked like what we could do. She said nothing really. You could eat more protein shakes and just eat a balanced diet, but it's probably not going to do anything. It's just the way that the baby is growing inside of you. Because of the placenta, basically. It's just like not giving it all the nutrients that it should. It's giving all the, it's just not working properly. I don't really know. I don't know how to like really explain it like scientifically, but all the nutrients that I'm putting in my body, the baby's taking all of it or as much as it can, but it's just essentially not enough for it to grow at the rate that it should be growing. So, wow, definitely super detached here. Good, I don't want to be crying. Well, okay, anyways. So I'm just like sitting there like, okay, like, all right, like, I don't know. That doctor just didn't make it seem like a huge big deal. So we're just like, okay, like we're just gonna be fine. Yeah, I wasn't really worried about it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be pushing out like a small baby. Like, good for me, you know? Anyways, a few days go by and I get a call from my doctor, the one that I actually see like regularly. And she's essentially telling me like, the place that I first got my ultrasound at, they didn't have those original records, so I needed to like basically send them a picture of what the original due date was, just to make sure that that May 3rd due date was actually correct. And it was. So it was actually May 4th, but it didn't make any difference. And yeah, the doctor basically said that if I stay where I am right now, between that 5th and 6th percentile, well, if the baby does, then I will most likely be getting induced by the time I'm 37 weeks. Now, she said that if the baby does happen to drop under 3%, which we're off by like 2 to 3% right now, if I do happen to drop under that 3%, then they're going to admit me, and I have to stay there throughout the entirety of the rest of my pregnancy. So that just kind of like, when she told me that on the phone, yeah, burst into tears. Not on the phone with her, but like, obviously I was like silent crying. I'm like, what? Like, I have to be there like like that seems serious. I don't know, it's just like she made it seem more serious, I feel like, than the other doctor. And I'm like researching now about all these IUGR stories, so if you do have one, leave them down below. Most of them are like successful, and like they end up being like a happy, healthy baby like after they're out of the NICU. But essentially a NICU stay is almost inevitable. The baby's probably going to be born around 4 to 5 pounds. Right now it was measuring 2 pounds 2 ounces at our last ultrasound, which was a week ago. And I'm like essentially 30 weeks. When I hit 34 weeks, I think so, 32 or 34 weeks, then I'll have 2 ultrasounds a week every other week until I hit 34 weeks. And then once I hit 34 weeks, then it'll be 2 appointments a week. I think I said ultrasounds, I meant appointments. 2 appointments a week every week, just to monitor the baby's growth and stuff like that. So they did say that it's symmetrical, so essentially every part of the baby is growing teeny, like tiny, but it's all kind of growing at that small rate together, rather than like one part of the body bigger than others. So apparently that's a good thing. I don't know, I just feel really stressed out. Essentially, as a mom, like you have this idealism that like your baby is going to be safe inside of you until like it's birthed into this like scary big crazy world, right? And for me, it's like that's not the case. Like the baby's just not growing, like I'm not providing it the nutrients, the placenta, whatever, isn't providing it the nutrients that it needs to like flourish and grow at the rate that it should be. And as a mom, that's like obviously like heart-wrenching. Like your baby's supposed to be like protected inside of you, and that's just like not the case. And it's not like I can really do anything about it. I just have to, I don't know, I just sit here. I feel like so helpless. Crying. I just feel powerless. Like how can I help? And there's nothing I can do, right? So I just feel, I don't know, I don't even like have words. I don't know. And just to imagine like a little 4-pound baby just in the NICU. I remember Wolf was 6 pounds 7 ounces, and he had some blood sugar problems. We were in the NICU for 5 days when he was first born, and then we were again at 5 weeks for a week when he had meningitis. But I just can't imagine, like that was the worst time of my life. Ugh. No mascara was the move, because yeah, watching all these wires hooked up to your baby is the scariest thing in the world. And then I just have so many fears about breastfeeding. Like, is that gonna affect that? And I'm gonna want to make sure that it's getting all the nutrients, and it just seems like it's better for the baby to be outside right now than it is to be inside. And just the fact that it was kind of caught so early at 20 weeks is really scary, because I feel like this doesn't happen for a lot of IUGR babies until they're later on in their pregnancy. Like I only hear stories about like 35 weeks, 36 weeks, and the fact that they noticed it at 20 weeks is even more scary. And like, what if the baby comes out smaller than 4 pounds? Like, there's just so many things that come with it. It's like, oh, I already feel so unprepared. Like, as a new mom, you're like, oh, I have to get so much done. The fact that we moved here to Tennessee and I don't have any baby stuff at all. I'm gonna cry. Because I got rid of it. I was not expecting, you know, another baby like so soon. I didn't think I was gonna like fall in love with someone and have a baby. So the fact that we just like don't have anything, we're not ready for the baby, and now like it's gonna be basically a little preemie baby. Gotta get preemie clothes, preemie diapers, and now I'm like worried about like sleep, which I never. You're already paranoid as a new mom, like checking on your baby every 2 seconds. Now I'm gonna be worried about making sure like it's sleeping, like breathing. So I don't know. We'll see at my next appointment. Hopefully the baby doesn't drop under. Hopefully the baby doesn't drop to 3%. They said it's between a 5 and 6 percentile right now, like on that borderline. But if it does drop to 3%, then they're just gonna admit me and monitor me until the end of my pregnancy, which there's no game plan for that, right? Like if they notice in a week that I'm still dropping, or the baby is still dropping in birth weight, then who knows if I'm gonna get delivered at like 32 or 33 weeks, you know what I mean? There's just so much I have to think about. A car seat now, like thankfully the car seat we're getting the Kleckling. It's like the safest car seat out there. It's a Canadian brand. Their birth weight starts at, like their range is like, it starts at 4 pounds. I'm just calling it a preemie. And I keep slipping out the gender, and hopefully I edited it out, because God, I might just leave it in, to be honest. But yeah, you have to think about that when you're bringing home a tiny baby. It's like, oh, a normal car seat, most of them start at I think 5 pounds, and if I want to bring a baby home from the hospital and it doesn't weigh 5 pounds but it's ready to go home, you have to have a car seat that they do that. So you have to get a 4-pound car seat. There's just so many things you have to think about and prepare. So if you are a IUGR mama, please leave me your tips down below. Essentially, I just need to be like resting and preserving my energy so that the nutrients that the baby is taking are the good ones and I'm not using them. I don't even know. I feel so mostly numb. I don't know. I just feel so unprepared, and I feel like even more unprepared. Do you know what I mean? Because the baby's coming even sooner. I don't even have a full 40 weeks to prepare. Like, that's so stressful. Essentially, the baby could come in 6 weeks or less, or yeah, 7 weeks or less. So, surprise! I'm pregnant. And it's coming soon. So that's where I'm at. That's also why I've been gone, you know, processing things. And just trying to take it easy, because I don't need no sort of negativity right now. I really don't. So like, I used to never block people who left mean comments. I just kind of deleted them, just like whatever. But I'm blocking that shit. I don't need it. I'm so like, I feel like I'm just so fragile, especially right now during this pregnancy. I feel so fragile and so sensitive, which is crazy as an Aquarius. Like, who is she? And yeah, that's where I'm sitting. That's where I'm standing. What? That's where I'm at. I'll show you guys my belly because I'm sure you guys are curious to see what I look like. So I'm 29. No. In like a day or two, I'm 30 weeks. So, super pregnant. That's what I look like from the front. From the back, like, look, even my bump looks so tiny, right? So tiny. Aww. Probably the last baby I'm having. Okay? I cannot do this again. So anyways, yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video. Maybe I'll be posting more now that I was ready to finally share with you guys why I've been gone. And ow. Yeah, just send us good vibes, prayers, anything you can. And I gotta start buying stuff for this baby. We have nothing. So, well, the whole reason why we don't have anything is because we're planning on moving, or at least actually isn't up until July. But we were planning on moving in like March and like kind of buying out of this lease and getting a new place. So I think that's still kind of the plan. We'll know more, I think, like this week. But because the baby might be here so soon now, I'm like weary on doing that because I just feel like that's a lot of stress. And I don't know. I'm more inclined to just kind of stay where we are until the baby's here and we can kind of gauge more on like where it's at, how long it'll be in the NICU, because essentially the baby could be there. I'm preparing for a NICU stay. Yeah. I think it'll definitely be longer than Wolf's NICU stay, which was 5 days. I'm preparing for a longer NICU stay than that, so we will see. But yeah, maybe I'll take you guys along the journey now. I did get some clothes, and I think that's gonna be the next video I film is the gender reveal, and it's gonna be something super small because I can't do something creative right now, just can't. So yeah, it'll probably just be like me showing the clothes, and those clothes will be the gender reveal. So that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let's have a baby. All right, bye guys. Yo, as much, like, as tiny as I am, I feel so pregnant, bro. Like, actually. Ugh. There's a baby inside here. I'm 30 weeks and I look tiny, bro.